Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So unfortunately on a beautiful Friday, Bitcoin is under attack. The market is under attack and things are looking not so good. So what is this all about? I'm going to try to explain it and also talk about what to look forward to. And I have to discuss Cardano and Charles Hoskinson, who is under some major pressure right now and has some explaining to do. So let's get started. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell to get notified of all my streams. Follow me on social media. Check out CryptosRUs.com. And, of course, follow all of my channels that you guys enjoy. Good morning, guys. I'm a little bit late. I had to prepare a few things, but there's the bell. So let's get to it. The market overall isn't looking so good today. So you look at, down negative 150. NASDAQ specifically is worse, negative 150 also, right? Overall today, not a green day, but Bitcoin took a huge hit today. So you could see Bitcoin went down to 21.5, so down about 7%. And it's clear that right here, you could see right around this time, it was like exactly at 7:30 here, like exactly, there was someone that planned this. Someone dumped, okay, majorly, and it caused a cascading effect, unfortunately, that caused a lot of long liquidations, a long squeeze, and there's many other things that's happening. And I can speculate who did this, and I'm going to share with you guys that in a little bit. But unfortunately, that caused things to escalate, so now we're around 21.5, right? Now, last night, I talked about two things. I'm not going to go too much in detail because I kind of explained all last night, but I'm going to just recap. There are two things happening right now that I do think is having pressure or putting pressure on Bitcoin's price right now. Number one is the DXY. The DXY continues to go up, and now it went up above 108. The dollar is gaining strength, and this is due to a couple reasons. Number one, the U.S. economy actually isn't as bad as people think. So the economic data is actually looking better than expected. And also, not just because of that, the economies from around the world, like Europe and UK and Japan and everyone else, they're actually worse. Their inflation is worse. Their growth is worse. Their GDP is worse. I mean, everything's worse about them. That's why the dollar is actually gaining strength. And whenever the DXY gains strength, it's never a good thing for equities nor crypto. So that's number one. And number two, I talked about this, and hopefully this doesn't turn out to be a bigger thing. And that is Ontario, Canada, they imposed a 30,000 buy limit for its citizens when it comes to crypto. So the crypto exchanges are limiting Canadians to 30,000 per year. Okay, so hopefully this doesn't expand, but I do think this has major repercussions that we haven't even seen yet, but that also is not a good thing. So I talked about these two things last night, but beyond these two things, something else happened, right? Who decided to sell? Because it did cause, that major dump did cause a long squeeze, and we saw, I mean, take a look at this, right? You got 70 million, 88 million, 267 million, 88 million. You add that all up, it's like 400, 500 million longs gone, right? $500 million in liquidations. And I've been telling you guys, be careful. First of all, just don't play with leverage. And if you are going to play with leverage, stop playing with 100x leverage or 50x leverage, right? Because the market is still volatile either way. And obviously, we had a huge amount of longs liquidated this morning. Okay. But who caused it, right? Who caused it? You know what? I've been paying attention to one exchange in particular, and I think a lot of people have started paying attention. Whenever there's a massive sell-off, which exchange is it coming from? Well, all these massive sell-offs seem to be coming from one exchange, and that's FTX Spot. Okay? It's not even from the derivative exchanges anymore. Before, we would see certain derivative exchanges get an influx of ETH or BTC, and then you see the sell-off start from there. But these days, no. It's all from FTX. So I'm just curious why that is. FTX volume is way less than Binance. So you would figure if it was like, oh, you know, all these big whales that really wanted to dump on the market, wouldn't they be doing it on Binance? Binance's volume is like, you know, 10x higher than FTX, right? So this has me thinking, like, why is it always on FTX, right? A couple things. Number one, a lot of people have talked about, well, maybe BlackRock has something to do with it, right? I don't know if that's exactly it, but we do know that BlackRock is a big investor in FTX. And number two is, how did Sam Bankman-Fried make all his money? And how does he continue to have all these billions to throw around? Well, if you look him up, he made all his money by trading. He invented some algorithm that allowed him to arbitrage Bitcoin between currencies. So he's actually a trader. It makes me wonder if that algorithm that he developed is still running and is running the show right now. And that is how FTX is able to come up with all the money they have to throw around at, Voyager and everyone else, and Robinhood and everyone. You know, one could speculate, right? But it does seem very odd that all these huge sells are all from FTX. And if you look at the sell volume, I don't have one in particular, but I've seen charts. If you look at a sell volume from all major exchanges, like FTX leads, it's not even close, right? So I don't know. There's just something fishy going on there. All right, so these are the things that are causing Bitcoin to come down, causing it to be attacked. But we know Bitcoin is resilient. Bitcoin will get through this. It always does. But right now, there's a lot of headwinds out there that's driving Bitcoin down, unfortunately. But we will get through it. We will get through it. Now, there's other things that's happening today that's, I guess, not good as well. I did share with you guys about the 500 million being, liquidated, right? There's something else that's at risk of being liquidated. I've never heard of this, but supposedly, again, due to greed and leverage, people have put down their Bored Apes and CryptoPunk NFTs, and they took loans against them. So I didn't even know you could do this, but there's a project that allows you to. So you could borrow against your NFTs, right? So I don't know how they valued the NFTs to begin with. That's important, because if you don't know what they're valued at, then you don't know when you're going to get liquidated or margin called, right? So it turns out we're at a risk of a lot of people being liquidated on their Bored Apes and CryptoPunks, which could be the very first time we have seen this before, where like this, you're seeing the floor drop to 72 for the Bored Apes, and I guess there's going to be liquidations that's going to start if things keep dropping, right? So again, this is just based on pure greed, right? People already made a ton with their Bored Apes and CryptoPunks, and they felt like they didn't make enough, so now they had to borrow against it, and then this is where we are. So unfortunately, we're at risk of some of the biggest NFTs also being liquidated, which is quite interesting. Again, I don't know how they valued them at the beginning. I guess they just took the average floor price of all the Bored Apes and CryptoPunks and kind of used a figure like that. I don't know. It's interesting. All right, anyways. And then what else is there? Well, a lot of people start asking me about the IRS, right? I guess a lot of people are very, very fearful that all these new IRS agents go just audit everyone, right? So that's why Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen decided to, clarify a few things, okay? Number one, these new agents will clear the backlog, and I've noted this too because some of these letters that people are receiving, including myself, are from like 3 years ago. Okay, so there's definitely a lot of backlog. Number 2 is to improve customer service. Anyone that has ever tried to call the IRS will know that you have to wait 2+ hours before someone picks up. So, okay, those 2 are legit, number 1 and 2. Number 3, overhaul the agency technology systems. I don't know what kind of analog system they're using, but okay, that makes sense. And then number 4 is also important, is to just replace retiring workers. Okay. But the last thing, which should really be number 5, and she's specifically stating this, to quote, specifically, I direct that any additional resources, including any new personnel or auditors that are hired, shall not be used to increase the share of small businesses or households below 400,000 threshold that are audited relative to historic levels. Okay, it's a little confusing, but basically she's trying to say that if your household makes less than 400,000 in the US, then these additional agents are not going to be targeting you. That's what it sounds like to me, right? Whether or not that's true, we don't know, but it makes sense that IRS go after the big whales, right? Looking at people with very high income first to see if there's anything they missed, and then move on from there, right? But there are a lot of people that's very fearful about the IRS, auditing everyone now. I don't know if that's actually going to be the case, but they are definitely very, very understaffed, and the backlog is enormous, and that's really what they want to solve. All right, so there's those things. What else is there? Well, not a whole lot of positive stuff coming out this morning. There's a crypto lender, Hodlnaut. I didn't know that this company exists, but they're under pressure too. They're a crypto lender. Police are inquiring about their operations. They cut their staff. I believe they also stopped their withdrawals. They are in Singapore, though. Yeah, they are in Singapore. So basically, another crypto lender that's not doing too well right now. The SEC also refuses to hand Ripple any testimony or any data that relates to the prior director ruling Ethereum being a commodity and not security. I don't know what the SEC is doing. The judge ordered them to give the data over many, many times, and they refused to do so. I don't know how they could refuse and keep refusing because the judge already ordered them like 2 times, right? So I don't know. But basically, this is what I was saying recently. The CTO of Ripple is trying to now claim Ethereum as a security again, right? But that's the dumbest thing you could do right now because that's their entire defense, is to prove that Ethereum was deemed a commodity. Therefore, the same kind of reasoning should be applied to Ripple and XRP. So they're not a security. But trying to now, to change that and say Ethereum is security, well, that just kills Ripple's defense. So it makes no sense that he would come out and do that right now. But anyways, he did. So the SEC is looking pretty desperate against Ripple, at least right now, and they refuse to give anything over to Ripple, right? Gary Gensler does not want to lose this. Gary Gensler wants to control crypto, right? And if he loses this, I think he knows, if he loses this, then it's going to make it very, very difficult for him to attack all the other big projects out there. Smaller projects, the SEC could probably still bully, right? But the larger projects that do have a ton of capital and treasury that can fight the SEC, well, they will have a much harder time with them, right? So we will see. We will see. What else is there? Let me make sure I didn't miss this super chat. George, it's not the government of Ontario that set the cap to Ontario exchanges. Michael, I appreciate it, but you are wrong. The reason why those 2 exchanges did it because the Ontario Security Commission told them to. Basically, if they didn't do that, they would lose their licenses. So no, it is the government of Ontario, specifically their security division. So look that up, which again is not a good thing, and hopefully it does not expand because that would be absolutely horrific. JP Not Morgan, George, we should believe our government. They would never lie to us. Said in a facetious way. Yes. All right. What else is going on? As for Bitcoin, just to give you a friendly reminder, yeah, there are down years. There are down times for Bitcoin. Okay. But usually they come after tremendous rise. And usually what follows a down year is tremendous rise. So just to show you guys, this is why I've said Bitcoin always finds a way. It always recovers and forms new highs. But you just go back all the way to 2011 to 2013, you had some crazy gains, 1,500%, 189%, 5,400%. Then you had a negative 56% year. Oh boy, not good. But then you had a 34%, 125, and 1,300%. Leading up to 2018, then you fell down 73%, no good. But then afterwards, we had 94%, 304, 59, right? And I do believe we were prematurely cut off, or 2021 would have been even better. And right now, so far, we're about negative 49%. But take a look at what happened after previous down years, right? So good things could be coming. Be patient. Be very patient. And of course, if you look at all the other metrics, I'm not going to go too much into them, but this guy right here kind of breaks it down. There's a lot of metrics in terms of the demand, the supply growth, right? Even Bitcoin compared to gold, and the holders and everything else, right? It's just looking really healthy right now for Bitcoin, even though we may be down a few thousand points right now. But overall, Bitcoin is still moving in the right direction and only getting stronger, okay? Don't let anyone else fool you saying that, no, Bitcoin's it's getting weaker, going to zero, it's going to die, it's going to be shut down. No. All right, so now let's get to Cardano, okay? Cardano is feeling a lot of pressure right now. I don't know about Cardano, but Charles Hoskinson. So there's a lot of mixed reports. Yesterday, it was just reported that a prominent developer, Adam Dean, calls out IOHK, calls out Cardano for saying that they rushed out this code, this 1.35.2, right? It was rushed out. It caused the testnet to be broken. And then the next version, 1.35.3, right, was introduced afterwards, and that is being rushed out too. So basically, he's claiming that Cardano is broken right now and is moving too fast. And then today, I see this headline saying, well, Cardano Network adds 5 smart contracts as the Vasil upgrade edges closer. So who's right? Is Vasil upgrade in trouble or not, right? So Charles is, he's getting frustrated. If you read through this, he's like, okay, it's bizarre and alarmist, seeing all these videos floating around that saying 1.35.3 was rushed, right? But basically, it's been thoroughly tested, and the code that was an issue on the testnet has been removed, right? And he goes on and says, blah, 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 blah. But ultimately, this last one is what's important. You're the SPOs. You ultimately decide. I'm seriously tired of taking the blame on both sides. Cardano is decentralized. The people running the network ultimately decides upgrades, not me. So basically, he's like saying, I'm tired of being the leader. Don't look towards me for an answer. You guys decide, right? And that's probably not the right way to handle things right now, right? Because he is definitely the face of Cardano. No matter if he wants that role or not, I know he knows he has that role, and people look up to him, right, for these kind of things. So basically, he's getting sick of being blamed when things are not going good right now, right? And then people are calling him out on it, and there's like other things. Here's a guy that said, you know what, when the testnet was, when the testnet basically died, right? You guys asked people to rush out to install this new upgrade. And then he's like, well, we didn't keep quiet about it. The entire reason 1.35.3 was cut is literally because the issue on the testnet going through respinning. Another testnet provides no value for the bug, just terrible unnecessary delays that hurt dApp developer. So it sounds like because the testnet died from the previous code, with the new code, they didn't want to spin up another testnet because it would just cause delays. That doesn't even make a whole lot of sense. I don't even know what that. Yeah, anyways. So there's a lot of back and forth, okay, honestly. So I'm a bit confused on whether or not the Vasil hard fork is still continuing, or there's still a lot of battles about these versions and whether or not 1.35.3 should go into production or not. I don't quite know. It's a big mess right now. It's a big mess, and Charles is certainly feeling the pressure. All right, so hopefully they can pull through, but there is something going on right now, that's for sure, despite everything else that we're seeing in the market. All right, I think that's pretty much it for this morning. Overall, Bitcoin is still not recovering. 21.4. Those a lot of the indicators, a lot of the short-term indicators do indicate that Bitcoin is severely oversold. So if you look at like the 1 hour, the RSI is at 13. No, 12. So that's pretty oversold, especially you go back. The last time the 1 hour was this oversold was when Bitcoin was at 17,000. So think about that. 4 hours also very oversold at 16. Again, last time the 4 hour was this low on RSI was actually around the 17 mark, around the same mark, about 20,000. So a lot of the shorter term indicators have been reset, that's for sure. But this morning, someone right here decided to give a big dump. I don't know, FTX. Someone within FTX, but someone did on FTX. I don't know who, but someone did. All right, let's do some Q&A. And the market overall today isn't that good either. All right, let me scroll up here. IRS is chasing all crypto holders. I mean, they could, but how would they know who's a crypto holder and who's not? Right? They have to sort through it first. But anyways, yeah. Let's see here. Good job, George. Longtime fan. I have enjoyed it all. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate your support. Is proof of stake in danger of a more serious regulations? I mean, that's something that Michael Saylor has been arguing recently, why he says he does not like Ethereum, because he believes that proof of stake means it's a security, because it could be changed and upgraded. That's his argument. I'm not so sure I agree with that argument, but I don't think it has anything to do with proof of stake or proof of work. It's really whether the token has any utility or it's being sold for the sole purpose of making gains. That's really what it comes down to. Didn't Celsius or Voyager send all their BTC to FTX? That's probably the sell pressure. There may be something to that, but this relationship between FTX and Voyager is very convoluted. FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, is one of the largest shareholders of Voyager. He owns like 11% of Voyager. So not only did he borrow money from them, but he also invested money into them. He gave them a loan. I mean, it's very confusing. Like the way FTX, Alameda, and Voyager's all together, very, very confusing. In fact, when Voyager went into bankruptcy, FTX sold off all their shares or something like that so that they wouldn't be probed I mean, there was like, there's some fishy stuff that happened there. Fizzle, a super chat, appreciate it. What are your thoughts on holding BTC that's been used in a dark net market? Fizzle, if you actually know that for sure, that you hold on some BTC that's been used in a dark net, then you probably don't want to hold on to that. I mean, if you know 100%, right? I don't know how you know that, but if you do know that, you probably don't want to hold on to it. Let's see here. Brazil is still soon. It seems like a lot of Cardano fans in there thinking this whole thing with the broken testnet with 1.35.3 or 2 is still ongoing. So I guess that's good. Let's see. Let's see. What are your thoughts on holding BTC? Okay, I answered that, Fizz, already. I've always speculated that big entities like FTX or another entity could always load up on short or long leverage and just dump or buy a huge amount. What's stopping them from doing this? Honestly, nothing is stopping them from doing this. The ones in the US probably will not do that because, you know, they know that SEC is going to come after them, right? And they're going to investigate insider trading and stuff like that. So probably the ones in the US will not be doing that. But the ones outside the US, who knows? Who knows? And technically, it's not illegal. You know, if they're not swaying the market left and right, you know, they're saying, well, we could trade. Why can't we trade, right? So that's why it's like, it's very particular or very interesting that whenever we see, like, at least recently, not always, but recently, we've been seeing a lot of dumping on FTX. Specifically on FTX, and they're leading the dumping volume by far versus any exchange, even versus Binance, right? So why is that? Why is it always on FTX? All the whales move to FTX, or is it FTX themselves, right? So I don't know. We don't know unless there's more investigation that happen. Let's see here. Refresh. Yeah, today the overall market is down 8%. Not a good day. Not a good day overall. Cardano is the new Terra, people. You will see. No, it won't be. Thoughts on Mutable X when the merge comes? Well, Mutable X is a layer 2. So overall, you're asking if layer 2s are going to be fine after the merge. And my answer is yes. The merge doesn't fix scaling. It's going to be years before scaling is fixed on Ethereum. So layer 2s like Immutable X, Arbitrum, Polygon, and many others, they will continue to do fine. Or Optimism. Good DCA day? I would say so. There's no right or wrong day to DCA, right? Obviously, if you have a lot of cash on the side and you want to buy a little bit because today we're down about almost 10%, then great. But many people follow DC on a schedule, right? Based on their paycheck or based on a certain day in the month. You go with either, right? DCA is up to you. But obviously DCA on a down day is better than DCA on an up day because you're bringing your cost average down, right? IRS agents are instructed to carry a firearm or use deadly force as necessary. I saw some stupid clip about that. That's just, okay. IRS agents, 99.99% of them will never leave their desk. So those agents, if they ever get deployed, I don't know, they're going after the mob or something. I don't know when they would actually need to carry a firearm and break into an office and arrest someone like that. It's just utterly ridiculous. Maybe Celsius is dumping on FTX. There was an article that they have a green light to sell the Bitcoin that was mined. Well, if they would be selling it, or if that was them, they would not be selling it on a spot market. Specifically, it's a spot market that is seeing the sell-off. If Celsius was to sell, and maybe they did, most likely it would be OTC market, and it wouldn't really affect things. Unless the OTC market dried up and there's no buyers, right? But that seems unlikely because every time you see a big OTC buy, the market eats it up like it's nothing. So there's always like big whales looking to buy in the OTC market. So I doubt they sold on the spot market. IRS has a small team that's allowed to carry weapons used rarely. Yeah, like I said, I think 99.9% of agents are just sitting behind the desk, maybe answering calls and doing audits. So that's it. You saw Binance CEO tweet? No, I didn't. What's the big deal about it? Let's see here. They want to buy cheap, non-financial advice. Is that what you want me to show me, Annabelle? They? Who's they? BlackRock? Maybe. FTX? SBF? I just realized FTX sounds like FBF, right? Sounds very similar. Jeff, hey, appreciate it. What gaming token would you buy in this dip? The only really gaming project that I follow would be Gala, so. But there's many other smaller games out there. A lot of them are promising to go release games, but right now they're not doing anything with games. They're just kind of selling NFTs. But as a project, I like Gala. They already have a lot of games on their platform. Why the heck is the government attacking citizens left and right? I don't know what you're referring to. Aren't the high yields on Binance staking too high to be sustainable? Those are all just passed on from the projects themselves. If you look at a lot of projects, they provide a ton of rewards for staking. They also have high inflation rates. That's how they're able to sustain it. But on the exchanges themselves, and like yesterday I covered how Gemini's adding it, but Binance.us has a lot of staking. Some pretty high too, like Polkadot was like 11%. And then Polygon was at like 10%. Binance also had a lot of staking. But if you natively staked within the wallets of those chains, you actually earn more. Some of these projects are giving like 13, 14, 15%. So they're just passing that on to you. Basically incentivizing you guys not to trade and basically hodl on their exchange, right? That's how they're doing it. Not like what Celsius and Voyager did. Oh yeah, by the way, speaking of FTX, I forgot, someone mentioned about Tornado Cash. Yeah, so besides Tornado Cash, FTX is also flagging other privacy tools. So I guess there's another one called Aztec that they themselves deemed at high risk, so they just banned them. So I don't know. They didn't. I take that back. They didn't ban them. They're flagging them. They're warning people not to use it. So I guess they are go crack down on a lot of these privacy or mixers like Tornado Cash. Let's see here. What's happening to ICP? I honestly don't know what's happening with ICP. Marcus says, never liked FTX primarily because they're ultra aggressive marketing. I hate them even more now because they're acting like BlackRock. They are acting like BlackRock. I mean, and then recently I discovered it's because BlackRock is a majority shareholder, not majority, but a stakeholder in FTX. So it kind of makes sense. Larry Fink may be having conversations with SBF. Michael says, I have no issues with cap limits on other Ontario and Canadian exchanges. Well, it's because those two decided that they want to, basically prep themselves, right? So if OSC regulators are going to basically demand this, other exchanges will follow too. But there's many exchanges outside of that region that obviously that you could use. But anyways, harping on the same point doesn't change things, Michael. I know that I think you want to make it sound like it's not a big deal. Hopefully it's not. But the fact that it is means that we should pay attention to it. Please add a screen in your background that plays the XRP. I don't know if that would be welcomed here. Would you trust KuCoin? Wondering about the compound interest savings option. I do like KuCoin. I've been using them for years. Unfortunately, they're not very friendly towards U.S. citizens anymore. There's a withdrawal. They first of all, they don't allow KYC. And some people like that. I like that before, but because of it, now your withdrawals are limited to 1 Bitcoin, and there are certain coins on the platform you can't trade. It'll detect you're from like the U.S. and it'll say, "Oh, you can't trade this," which is first time I've ever seen that. But there's a lot of good things on KuCoin. They're basically a mini Binance, right? Is a Cash App decent place to hold Bitcoin? Well, Cash App, yes and no. As far as I know, Cash App is not non-custodial, but it is a full-fledged wallet that allows you to withdraw, so that's good. But in terms of, well, do you really control your private key with the Cash App? I don't believe so. Correct me if I'm wrong. If anyone else knows for sure if you can export out your private key, let me know. But I'm not so sure about that. If you can, great. If you cannot, then it's safer to have your crypto in some other wallet where you do control it fully. Okay, people are saying, yeah, you can't export your private key. That's what I figured. I know they've been improving. But yeah, it's still it's a custodial wallet, not a non-custodial wallet. So just be careful with that. But, Jack Dorsey is a huge Bitcoin bull. So it's unlikely that he's going to be doing a rug pull or something like that. Thoughts on Coinbase Wallet? Coinbase Wallet is actually pretty good. If you have a Coinbase exchange account, it's even better because you can pull it directly to it. It's very simple. But even if you don't use Coinbase, like me, I don't use Coinbase. But Coinbase Wallet is still a good wallet. It's a non-custodial wallet. You could safeguard your own private key. You could, utilize dApps with it. You could trade on DEXs with it. You could buy NFTs with it. You could store a lot of crypto. Not everyone, but every ERC21 and a few other chains. I think they added Solana and then Polygon, any EVM compatible chains. It's a universal wallet, but it can't store everything. What exchanges do you use? Well, I'm in the US, but yeah, I used to use a lot more, but I've kind of consolidated now. I love Binance.us. That is my like go-to exchange in the US. So I've been using them for a while now. I used to use Binance. If you're overseas, I would say there's no reason why you should not be using Binance because they literally have the lowest fees and the most trading pairs. It's not even comparable. But in the US, there's a lot of options like Coinbase. If you're a newbie, Coinbase is good. Gemini is good. I don't really use Kraken. Crypto.com, I rarely use. Binance.us is like my go-to exchange. I think they're really good, and they're adding a lot more trading pairs recently. I buy ETH at 70-80. What I have to do to sell or hold? I don't know what you're asking. If you're asking, should you hold or should you sell? Is that what you're asking? You have to decide that. You have to decide that. I can't use Binance where I'm from. They banned it. Yeah, there's certain, unfortunately, like certain states, if you're talking about if you're in the US, I think like Texas and New York, they're like just really stingy about giving exchanges licenses to operate. So yeah, there's a few states that you can't use them. It's unfortunate. But I know like New York's trying to get rid of it. I think the new mayor of New York City is trying to get rid of that bit license requirement. So if he does, that'll be a big win. Is Nexo safe? Well, right now it looks like they are. Seems like there's no problems. They're trying to buy out Vault, who's having issues right now. So, so far, but you know, they're still a lending company. They are a company that takes people's crypto and lend it out. So you got to be careful with that. That's what got Voyager and Celsius, even BlockFi, Vault, Hodlnaut, all in trouble. So just be cautious with them. Imagine Cosmos taking over ETH. Honestly, I don't see that happening. Any thoughts? Any thoughts on Cardano's future? I think they need more time on future upgrades because the hard fork was basically rushed. That's what it seems like. Okay, so there's conflicting. I guess there's conflicting reports, right? You got one developer that says the testnet broke because the rush code, but there's still people that say, well, it's still on its way, still being improved upon, and you'll get that upgrade soon. Charles does seem like he's very, very pressured right now. He did respond to someone saying, oh, okay, 1.35.2 should never been tested on the mainnet, right? There was no need to call. There was no call to upgrade, but people did it anyways, I guess. And then he doesn't like people going after him about the next one. And he's like, SPO should decide whether or not they should upgrade. I don't know. You gotta take the good with the bad, man. Like if you're a leader of one of the biggest crypto projects out there, you gotta take the good with the bad. When Cardano is pumping up, everyone praised them. When things aren't working, of course, people go bash them. But you gotta, as a leader, that's what you gotta do, right? Otherwise, Charles, I'll just say this: if Charles said, okay, screw it, I don't wanna be part of Cardano anymore. Cardano's pretty much dead. I feel like the only reason why Cardano is really where it is now and is still supported by so many is because of Charles. Because they believe in him. They believe that he is going to bring them to the promised land eventually, right? And if he ever decides screw this, I don't need the pressure. I'm out of here. Cardano will be done. Hopefully that never happens. Michael Saylor is never selling. Fingers crossed that never happens. If it somehow comes out like, oh, MicroStrategy decided to sell 20,000 Bitcoins, that would cause enormous dump right afterwards. So he's in a position where he can't sell anymore. He can't sell any. Even if it comes out like MicroStrategy sells 100 Bitcoins or 1,000 Bitcoins or something, it would be absolutely horrible. He's in a position where he has no choice but to hold them now, honestly, because he's seen as like the ultimate holder of Bitcoin, right? Like he can never sell. If he does sell any, it's not like Elon. Like Elon and Tesla selling, people are like, okay, we accept that. That's Tesla, right? No one's going to accept the fact that MicroStrategy is selling. So better pray that he never, ever, ever sells. Saylor retired. Doesn't his new CEO make that decision? No, that new CEO does day-to-day stuff, but he's still executive chairman. He's the biggest shareholder. So he's still in control. He could do whatever he wants with MicroStrategy. All right. It's been fun. Today's Friday. I know today's not a good day, but it is at least Friday. I don't know if you guys care, but I watched the first episode of She-Hulk, and I don't know, the CGI is okay. CGI I thought was going to be worse, but CGI is okay. Actually, the girl that plays She-Hulk, when she turns into She-Hulk, she's more attractive as a Hulk than normally. Just my opinion. I don't know how I feel about that show because they're giving her the ability, a lot of abilities that the Hulk did not have. She's still herself. She could transform anytime she wants and turn back. She doesn't have Hulk rage like the normal Hulk. And there's all this advantages that she has, right? And if it was really that simple to turn someone else into a Hulk, then I think they would have done it already, or the government would have tried already. So there's a lot of things. I don't know, but it's just that first episode. I guess we'll see if it gets better. I don't know. First episode, if I had to rate it, probably like a 7. It's somewhat interesting, but I could see how it could lead to a bad series if it just becomes like, way too easy for her and there's no adversaries. But I don't know. We'll see. I would say it's enjoyable overall. How was Telcoin in the US? I can't tell you. I've never used Telcoin before, so I don't know how it is. Crypto Rat says, read my comment. What's your comment? I just read it. I think we've bottomed, George. What do you think? I think so. I still think 17K was bottom. Right now, yeah, we have a little bit of sell-off, but we haven't broken any new lows or anything like that. I think a lot of the short-term indicators are showing that we have bottomed too. It's just curious who kicked this off today, right? Was it Celsius? Was it FTX? BlackRock? Who did that? That's the curious thing. I don't know if we'll ever know. All right, there's still stuff. I'm glad it's muted or not shown here. When is the BTC halving supposed to happen? In 2024? Does it usually lead to a bull run? Yes, it does. But it doesn't always have to be the catalyst to a bull run. But in the past, yes, it has been a big catalyst. Bro, I need your knowledge, not advice. Actually, I bought ETH tomorrow at 1780. And also, I'm thinking for long term. I don't, Karen, I don't know what you're talking about. How can you buy ETH tomorrow at 1780? Are you talking about like a futures or options or something? If so, you're on your own, man. I don't advise anyone to do those things unless they're an expert, and it doesn't sound like you're an expert. So, all right, guys. I'll let you go. Overall, today is not a good day, but, you know, Bitcoin has seen worse days, and we will get through this. But today, there's a lot of things going on. DXY is skyrocketing right now, so that's not good. What's going on in Ontario is not good. What's going on with FTX spot dumping somehow, that's not good. You know, there's a lot of bad news, and we're still seeing a lot of stuff, right, happening on a macro scale. There will be volatility. As long as you don't play with crazy leverage like this, then you should be okay. You can continue to hold on DCA. But if you're going to play with 20, 30, 50, 100, 125x leverage, well, then you're probably wrecked, right? So just don't do it. All right? So stay strong, my friends. We will get through this together. And that's it. Smash it a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll have another video tonight. I'm not going to be streaming. Normally, I don't have anything on Friday nights, but I prepared a recorded video about security that I think a lot of you guys need to watch because you don't quite know what security is all about and why you should safeguard your crypto. So I'll be releasing that video tonight. And then tomorrow, I'll be streaming 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right? Have a good one, guys. Have a good Friday. And I'll see you guys later. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
What do you think about Ripple?
Well, I mean, I think it's too centralized, but I definitely want to meet Chris Larson.